It's nearly Halloween, and if you're like me, you plan on being a pirate. That's better. Today, I'll go over the piratification process, beginning with how my leg was made, then ending with an overview of the rest of the costume. I'll put links in the description in case you have some piratey shopping to do. Step 1 in the piratification process is to cut off a limb. I chose my left leg, but you could go for an arm if you're a Captain Hook fan. Step 2. Now that you've got those pesky spare limbs out of the way, you need a way to hold your peg onto your actual leg. I've considered carving a more authentic leg, so let me know if you'd like to see me do that. But the more comfortable and practical route is to use a modern socket. When making a prosthetic socket, a test socket is often used to perfect the shape and fit before making the final carbon fiber version. Some test sockets aren't made from durable materials and break easily, but others are made from sturdier plastic that can handle piratey adventures. I held on to my test socket, which meant I had a well-fitting base to build my peg upon. Step 3. Time to get your prosthetist on board. You'll probably measure the space between the bottom of the socket and the ground to be sure the wood is long enough. My prosthetist happened to have a nice looking piece of pine, so we used that. By we, I mean him, since he did all the work of sanding and shaping and attaching the peg to the socket. The tricky part is that I still needed to be able to reach this button in order to get my leg off. These other holes are so the peg can be removed and placed on a new socket when the current one no longer fits. My prosthetist drilled out a hole, then made a leather sheath to go over the socket, because leather is more thematic than plastic with steel buttons. Step 4. When he was done, I scheduled a fitting appointment, just like I would for any other new leg. My prosthetist is nice and didn't bill me, even though I offered to pay him. I guess he just liked the idea of a fun project that would give him a change of pace. Pun intended. So special thanks to him for making my piratey dreams come true. At this fitting appointment, there weren't nearly as many potential adjustments to be made as there are with a regular prosthetic foot. You can't change the angle of the foot or the ankle. It's just a hunk of wood. The main adjustment was making sure the height felt just right. Since it's wood, it's easier to cut a little more off than it is to make the peg taller. So you may want to start with a peg that's slightly on the long side, so you have something to work with. After we got the height just right, he attached some durable tread on the bottom to give me traction. Then I was good to go, just not literally. Step 5, learn to walk. Oh, that feels weird. Yeah, I think safety is a good idea. It just wants to do that.
Yeah, there's no foot out there to stop it from doing that.
Hard being a pirate.
Yeah, it's not an ideal walking situation.
This came as a surprise to me, but it's really hard walking on a peg leg as a below-knee amputee. I specify an amputee with a knee because anytime I bent my knee, the peg would slip out from under me. It's less a matter of traction and more a matter of basic physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I suspect that peg legs would work better for above-knee amputees. That's just a theory, since I'm not willing to cut off my knee to find out for sure. At any rate, I quickly learned that I needed to minimize knee movement if I didn't want to fall.
This is why pirates didn't wear peg legs, people.
I was grateful for both the safety bars and the carpet while I took my first peg-legged steps. But even after that, I used a cane at first, trying to get used to the peg before Halloween. Honestly, as cool as the peg looks, I can't recommend it, especially if you have balance issues or other health problems. As a YouTuber, I dare say I've walked more peg-legged miles than the average amputee, but I still watch my step. It was hard enough not to fall in the carpeted prosthetics clinic, but picture yourself trick-or-treating with kids running around you as you traverse uneven ground with cracks in the sidewalk. Plus it's dark, so you can't see these hazards. Even if you're inside at a party, the flooring material can make a huge difference on how likely you are to fall. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I'm highly skeptical that real pirates would have whittled down their wooden legs to a fine point, when it would be totally doable to have at least a little bit of a foot or a base at the bottom. I can see a peg being useful over rocky terrain, not so much on the slippery swaying deck of a ship. Like I said, I'm skeptical. I'll link my full rant here for those who care. If you decide to wear a peg leg despite my warning, just be careful. A safer option would be to decorate your wheelchair like a pirate ship. You're far less likely to trip. Step 6. A peg leg by itself is cool, but the rest of the costume is what makes it really fun. I found this accessory set at Walmart. Or there's this really cool rapier modeled after Inigo Montoya's famous sword. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. I'll link the sword in the description in case you also have revenge on your to-do list. There are tons of plastic sword options out there, but it was surprisingly hard to find a decent quality pirate wig. I sifted through so many options and read so many reviews before I settled on this beauty. I find it comfortable, it stays on pretty well, and it looks great. I've had more trouble keeping the hat on, though in all fairness, it stays on far better if you're just walking around instead of swashbuckling. I think the jacket I use would make a great Halloween costume, with the caveat that putting it through more athletic endeavors puts strain on the seams. One of these days, I just need to sew my own jacket, because I doubt I'll find a costume coat that's made to withstand my shenanigans. I use a few different shirts. This one has lovely cuffs, but the polyester doesn't look as authentic as my linen shirts. I found some linen pants at the thrift store, then cut them to the length I wanted. There are tons of other accessories if you want to go overboard. I just wish I could order a piratey accent on Amazon. I'll include some affiliate links in the description, which helps support this channel, while also saving you the trouble of agonizing over which wig to buy. That's what I call a win-win. With a peg on your leg and a shopping list in hand, you are now prepared to become a pirate. If you want to hear my rant on the implausibility of pegability, here it is. I'll toss in some silly pirate videos too, because I'm feeling generous. Happy pirating! A special thanks to my patrons over at Patreon. Your generous support made it possible for me to put this outfit together.